If it weren't for him, I would be a waste of a man, inside and out.
If it weren't for him, I could sleep at night.
I would be dead.
I've been dozing at work more afternoons than not. Kind of makes me feel like an old man.
I was lucky. I was so lucky. I could have been crippled or disfigured even, but more likely, let's face it, I'd be food for vultures.
I built homes with my brothers. I'd go to work in the morning, come home, spend time with family, friends. The simple, the good life.
Since talking to him, things seem upside down. The nights are for thinking, and the days are for falling asleep.
As a kid, my friends never seemed to get caught doing anything wrong. Me, every time. Oh yeah, my parents, they always heard what I said. And my dad, he walked by at just the perfect time.
Yeah.
My whole life, my every failure has been exposed.
One morning, I noticed there was something on my arm. I kept my shirt on and I prayed and I hoped that it wasn't what I thought.
He was a bright teacher. Everyone knew that. I expected wisdom, encouragement, not what he gave me.
And exposed I was when they burst into that house and caught me. Yes, caught me with a man. And they dragged me into the middle of the street. Not even letting me dress.
Honestly, I have followed all of the commandments. But are you ever really sure? I needed to know. Good teacher, what thing must I do to get into heaven?
But 2 days in the hot sun with long sleeves. Then everyone notices.
At first I worried about covering myself, cause all I had was the sheet. I mean, they turned their faces so that they didn't look at me. They couldn't look at me. But I could see them. I could still see the blood that was in their eyes.
Then he looked at me. Though I had not met him, I believe he knew my situation, my good choices, and even my doubts. Then he said,
They made me leave my family, my sons, my girls. Julia would not let go of my neck. She shouts out, "Where is Papa going?"
They wouldn't listen to anything that I said. They just kept their faces turned and kept pushing me.
his words, they invaded me. Like a parasite, they sit in my belly and they continue to eat at me.
Have you ever seen a stoning?
I scored my body with anything that might help, but nothing worked. I never gave a thought to these people, and now I was one of them.
Sell everything! He said this with such intensity, and I must admit, what seemed like compassion
It's awful! It is so awful! Everyone, they all gather around, and they yell, and they scramble for rocks, like I'm just the entertainment or something. They're no longer even human.
You only wait for God when this happens.
compassion. His words offer me no compassion. At night, I lay in the darkness, and I hear them thousands of times. Sell everything.
Everyone's an animal. Even the people who are just watching.
But 2 days in this camp, I went back into town, back to my home. I stood about 20 feet from him. I could not see or feel my children.
They threw me in front of him. Naked. And vulnerable. And so ashamed. And they asked. No, they demanded. Teacher, what do you say that we should do with her? They seem to despise him just as much as they despise me.
Sell everything and give it to the poor. Then come follow me.
Right. Jesus.
We heard about Jesus, so 10 of us decided to go. The people in front of us parted like the Red Sea.
Okay.
What was he talking about? He couldn't mean sell everything that I own. I'm a wealthy man, and I've worked my whole life long. And I'm just supposed to give it up like that?
My heart was pounding.
We saw the crowd. We yelled his name, Jesus. We begged for mercy. He came, he stood near us. He told us to show ourselves to the priest.
I was willing to part with some of my money, a lot if necessary, to pay for a new well or an altar or something tangible that I could do.
But he didn't say anything.
My God.
He said nothing. All he did was just stoop down and draw his fingers in the sand. And at that moment, everything stopped. Their breathing, my heart beating, and every eye fixed on him. What was he doing? And then, finally, he said, all right, stone her. But
Okay.
let those who have never sinned,
Come on.
let them cast the first.
I could see the man next to me. His face came clean. As I started to walk, I started to notice my arms started coming back to normal.
Sell everything? I came to him looking for peace, but instead I got more confusion, more doubt.
At first, when they all left, I was shivering in front of him. And not because I was cold, but because I knew how close I'd come.
Yes.
And then he turned to me. And he looked at me. In torture. And not with judgment. Even though he could have. But instead, I felt mercy come rolling toward me from so far away.
It's ironic. Before the master died, he asked me to die, to give up my life. But what kind of thing was this to ask of me? If it weren't for him, I couldn't sleep.
Being caught, being exposed like I was a blessing. If it weren't for him, if it weren't for him, I would not have known that God has mercy.
Right.
Listen, I want you all to know that God has mercy.
The crowds ran back to their homes. I stayed still. I kept my heart still, enough to find him again. I simply thanked him. He simply smiled. If it weren't for him, I would be lost.